Hi, I'm Chef Nakul Gulati. I'm here at Restaurant 18 showing you how to make the three-course French-inspired dinner, Christmas dinner that I have set up for you all. Thank you. So I'm going to start off by making the crepe batter first. The crepes work better if they sit for a while, if they rest, the glutens in the all-purpose flour develop better. So breaking eggs. Make sure you know you don't have any shells in there. Don't want that getting mixed in. 2 eggs, 1 cup of all-purpose flour. We've got a cup of whole milk, half teaspoon salt, 1 tablespoon sugar, and 1 tablespoon melted butter. We are going to microplane a lemon onto this. Sorry. It's just a bit more flavor. Citrusy flavor will go well in it. You can totally skip this if you don't want it. And this. So what we're going to do now is we've got the crepe batter right here. You want to avoid lumps in it, so it's just a better product at the end. So to do that, we are going to strain this. Use a fine mesh strainer. This way you avoid any lumps altogether. And that's a crepe batter. You want to put this in the fridge now. It can sit for a whole day if you wanted to. The longer it sits, the better. But even an hour is good enough normally. We're going to make the pickling juice, the pickling liquid for our radish. It's a very simple recipe. 5 parts vinegar, 1 part salt, 1 part sugar. And bring to a boil. That's pretty much it. Really simple, easy to do. Bring it to a boil and then turn it off. It's as simple. Side by side, we are going to take our radish. Now, 2 ways of prepping it. One is with a mandolin. Really simple, on a low setting. You want it nice and thin. Just slowly push across. You've got nice thin circles. Don't go for the end, you'll end up cutting yourself. You've done it way too many times. You're looking for nice thin circles. Simple. Or you can use a knife. You need a really sharp knife for this. Same thing, you're again looking for, might not be as thin as those, but it works. Once it's boiling, you want to turn the gas off, take it off the heat, take your radishes, put them into a container that can go in the fridge and that can withstand heat, and pour it over. The radish will bleed a bit of color, but that's okay. And that can go in a fridge for later. So the pickled radish, obviously it's a pickle, it will survive for weeks in the fridge. You want to ideally make it a day before, you'll get more flavor. It'll enhance the flavor profile of the radish, and the pickle juice will get into it properly. While it's hot, do not put it in your fridge. Let it cool down and then keep it in your fridge. The next thing we're making is puffed wild rice. Really simple to do. If you are intimidated by high heat, I wouldn't suggest trying it, but it's still a fun thing to try once. You need oil, a really hot pan. Take it up as high as you can take it. Fill it up with oil. Once your oil is smoking, okay, so it's now at the point where you can see it's got the hot rings around it. It's super hot. Take the rice, drop it in and swirl. Keep swirling, you don't want it to stop. If you stop, it burns. And drop off wild rice. Turn it off. Strain the oil. Be careful. Again, really hot oil. And put it on paper so you dry out all the excess oil. And with everything that you fry, salt. And that's your puffed wild rice. So wild rice can stay in a pot. So the next thing we're going to do is make a berry compote for the crepes. Really simple. Wash all your berries first. You want to trim them. Once you've got them all trimmed, put them all in a pot. So I should have trimmed these. Them in a pot with 50 ml of orange juice and put them on simmer for around 10 to 15 minutes on a medium flame. The heat will get all the juices of the berries out of it, and that will form your compote. You can add sugar to it if you want it a little sweeter. You can add herbs to it, spices to it. To put a bit of sugar in it. So there you go. The next thing we're going to do is toast hazelnuts. Turn the flame on. You want to just get it nice and nutty. It could be a medium to high flame as long as you're watching it. You want to just keep moving it around so they don't burn on one end. You should be able to smell the hazelnuts right now. Once you can smell them, that's when all the oils of the nuts have been released with the toasting. You just want to turn it off at that point. We are going to roughly chop these once they're colder. The next thing we're going to do is make a cartouche. A cartouche is basically a covering for your pot. It will help keep the steam inside, so it will cook the vegetables a bit more evenly. You want a piece of parchment paper, cover the pot. It shouldn't be much bigger than it. Fold it in half. Hold the edge where the fold is and refold it again. Keep holding that same edge and fold it one last time. So you're looking for something like this. Hold it towards the center of the pot, measure where it is, and cut. Cut there, and a small little nip here. What you get is a circle like this, which will sit on top of the pot at the end. So 4 minutes later, all the juices are out and the berries are breaking down. That's forming the base for the compote. So you want to start off by having your oven preheated, I would suggest do that as early as possible. I have my oven set at 350 Fahrenheit. It's for the main course. Now we're gonna start with the appetizer. So we're gonna start off by segmenting the oranges, the citrus. We've got a navel orange, a pink grapefruit, and a lemon. It's a really simple process. You make 2 cuts here. So you want it to basically sit this way. Take your knife and run it along the edge. It's okay if you lose some flesh in it. You want to get as much of the white bits out as you can, because that's all the bitterness. Once you've got that out, you want to just slice into your segments, and there you go. Just like that. You've got segments of citrus. You want roughly 3 segments of each. You could do more if you want. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to juice these citrus. You just press it to release as much juice as you can. You could use a juicer if you want, but since you segmented it, you don't want to waste anything. This is going to be the acid which you use to cure your scallops in. You should not get any seeds in this because the segments, the seeds will stay on the inside. So when you press it, all the juice comes out. The seeds will still stay in. If 1 or 2 do fall in, it's because of the areas where you did the segment. So pick them. The next thing we're going to do is the bird's eye chili. You just want a couple of thin slices. You don't want too much because it'll take away from the flavor of the scallops. You just want a little bit of heat to complement the acid. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean and slice the scallops for the dish. You want to change your cutting board for this because A, it's healthy. It's just better. B, you're going to have the acid on the cutting board from the last dish, from the citrus, and that will start curing the scallops a bit too early. You want to take the scallop, remove the foot of it. It's fully edible, but texture-wise it's not as tasty. You Here, you want to try cutting the scallops as thin as you can. That's okay if they break apart a bit. They are a very delicate mollusk. If you aren't comfortable going too thin, you can cut them into cubes. It's all up to you. Once the scallops are cut, put them away in the fridge. You want them to be as cold as possible for service, for eating. When you're done, wash your knife. I'm going to sanitize it. It's just seafood. You don't want to be mixing that up with everything else. The next thing we're going to do is prep the fennel. You want to take the bottom root off. It's usually always muddy. Chop the top bits off. You can use these for a soup, a stock, for anything. And now, you want to just get some nice rings. You don't want it too thick because it's just going to be big chewy pieces otherwise. That's what you're looking for. So the next thing we do is we work with a salmon. Beautiful piece of fish. Check, no bones, no pin bones. If there is some little ugly fatty bits, you could trim it off. Don't have to. Eat it if you want. Perfectly safe. Just doesn't look as pretty. You want to rub generously season, salt, pepper, and we make our papillote. Salt of pepper in the salmon on top. A handful of fennel. Sprig of rosemary, and a generous stick of butter. I've used roughly 50 grams of butter on this. Don't go as much, you go lower. Butter makes everything better. Wrap it up. You want to seal it up so that when it's cooking, the salmon cooks in its own juices in the butter, and it steams the fennel, which adds flavor to the fish. So that's it. It's in the fridge now for when we're ready to cook it. It's been around 20 minutes since this has been slowly simmering. As you can see, all the berries have broken down. The bigger pieces of strawberry are still there. I've not cut the strawberries up because it adds a bit of a nice bite to it. You want to let this cool down, and that is your compote for the berry compote for the dessert. The next thing we're going to work on are the glazed carrots. We've got heirloom carrots right here. I've already peeled them. You want to just trim off the edges, the ends. And what I'm going to do is a crisscross cut. So slice, turn 90 degrees, slice again, turn 90 degrees, and slice. Nice bite-sized pieces, easy to eat. We're going to start by putting the carrots in a pot with, you want just a bit of water till they are, you don't want to cover the carrots in water, you want to put just enough to cover the bottom. Salt, a pinch of salt, a generous knob of butter, and a spoon of honey. You're going to take your cartouche, you want to have the cartouche on it, push it down all the way, and what this will do is for 5 minutes you cook it with the cartouche, it will trap the steam inside and you cook the carrots a bit faster. So we're going to make the whipped cream cheese dressing right now for the crepes. What you want is, so take the cheese, put it into the food processor, get your cream ready, turn it on, and slowly incorporate a little bit of cream into it. Do it in pulses, so you want splitting the cream. And that's it. That is the final product you're looking for. It's the cream has incorporated into the cream cheese, making it even light. So you're looking for a light, creamy texture. You can add lemon juice to this. You can add lemon zest. You can add you can add nutmeg, cinnamon, whatever you desire into this. Once the hazelnuts have cooled down, I'm going to put them in a chopping board and just roughly chop them. You can even, if you don't want to toast it on a gas, you can at this point put it in the oven at 350 for roughly 10 minutes. It'll do the same thing. It'll toast it up really well. After around 5 to 7 minutes, you want to turn it off. Let it sit with the cartouche on to the side. It will stay warm and be ready for when we want to eat. So we've got the salmon papillote ready earlier, as we did earlier. I'm going to put it in a French pan. Okay. I'm going to put it in a French pan so it's easier for you to take in and take out. Take a bit of oil, put it on top. You want to just make sure that doesn't burn. You can use water too. And put it in the oven for 20 minutes. While your salmon is cooking, you want to start assembling your starter. Take the slices, start off by putting it. You don't have to use a ring mold if you don't have one. Keep them nice and flat. Is take out the cartouche and on a low flame let it sit for roughly 5 minutes. You you want to form the glaze now. So by taking this off, the water is going to evaporate, and what you're going to be left with is a glaze of the honey and the butter. Once you've got your scallops all set up here, you want to start off with the citrus juice. Spoon it on top. The acid in the juice is what is going to cook the scallops. As I said, these are good to eat raw, but it'll become a bit softer. You want to put olive oil, a decent amount. Fat helps with the scallops, it's a really protein. Salt, a generous amount. You want to start off next with your citrus. Then we go to the radish. Finish off with some puffed white rice. And finishing salt, sea salt. I'm going to be putting microgreens on top. I'm using micro peas out here. You don't have to use these if you don't have them. It just looks pretty. There you go. Got a minute left for our salmon to be done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first finish the carrots. After taking the cartouche out, it's reduced down to, as you can see at the bottom, it's almost a glaze. Now put on a high flame, and you want it to just get to the point where it's a little bubbly. As you can see, it's bubbling and it's become nice and thick. That's your honey glaze. You want to just give it a whirl around so it sticks to the carrots properly. Take out the salmon from the oven. It's been inside for 20 minutes. You could go for 25 if you wanted to, if you like your salmon done a bit more. Take it out and the pan. Put it on a plate. It had butter inside, so it's going to be hot. You're going to have hot butter inside, be careful. If you are uncomfortable with it, leave it for 5 minutes, let the butter melt a bit, cool down, and then open it. That's your salmon. We have the watercress, which we are going to lightly dress with olive oil. And salt. Just toss it around a bit. And make a bed of it in the bottom of the plate. Pick up the salmon. With that, get your carrots. Get the carrots. And that's your dish. So I'm gonna use the fennel from the top. Use that to decorate the plate. It goes perfectly with the fennel in the dish, and it's a pretty little thing. Fully edible, very tasty. That's the dish. We're gonna now start the crepes for the dessert. Start with a good non-stick pan on a medium to low heat. You don't want to go too high. Here's the batter that we had made. You take a good ladle worth. Pour it to the center and just go around. Fill up any holes that you have. Now, let it do its thing. When it starts rising from the sides, that's when you know it's ready to be picked up. So, you know it's ready when it starts coming up like that. It starts lifting off. What you want to do is take it and flip it. Let it again cook for roughly 30 seconds. It's fully cooked, you just want to give it a bit more. Takes away all the raw flour taste from it. You don't have to flip it if you're uncomfortable doing it. It's good to go the other way too. And that's the magic of television. You've got two now. So what you do is cream cheese. Berry compote. As you can see, all the berries are broken down beautifully. You've got the nice sauce with it. So what I'm going to do is pick it up, put it on the plate that I'm going to be serving it on. Pour the berry compote on top of it. One. Do the same for the second. Toasted hazelnuts for flavor, a little bit of crunchiness, and that's the sugar, the compote juice, and there you go. That's the dessert.